All right, well, thank you, Dr. Bill Campbell, for joining me on this interview. I would you would be the first person that I've done this ever, so I wish I could do even on my second language, right? So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit hard for me, but I hope that we can get this with success. So for everyone that is listening to us, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, with your background? I know you're one of the top 20 guys on my list on the world related to fitness and research. And I want to say this before you start, that there's a lot of Instagram accounts or social media accounts that act like sources of sharing data about fitness, losing fat, build muscle, but that's the bottom on what they can share. They are reading the data and giving their personal opinion. And this is different with you because you recorded the data, you processed the data, and you published it. And what better case that you yourself can share what the science behind that is gonna give us to us nutritionists, personal trainers, or people that wanna get fit, get shredded, get huge. So go ahead, Dr. Bill.
Yeah, and thank you for the invitation. I'm honored that I get to be the first guest on your podcast. That's an honor. And as you said, I'm a professor and scientist. So my research area is in resistance training and sports nutrition, and it really focuses on body composition. So I like to say that my research helps people optimize their physiques in a maintainable lifestyle. So what we do is we research people who are already fit, but they want to get fitter, or they're trying to even lose more body fat, gain more muscle. So I have a fat loss and a muscle gain centric focus in our research. Other than that, that's pretty much my professional life. Do some speaking, do some book writing, but most of my focus is on my research and my students as well. I'm having a great time right now, just getting ready for our study to kick off this semester with my students.
Awesome. I know that you participated on about 150 documents or investigations that have been published, right? Is that number correct, or are there more?
It's over 200 if you count all my scientific papers and published abstracts. If you're looking at published manuscripts, it's probably around 80, somewhere in there. And I've written either edited or written 3 different textbooks and 1 digital guidebook.
Wow! I know about those. They're awesome. So, all right. Well, just before we go into the topics we want to discuss, what would you say is the best area for you of expertise and investigation, that it's a real passion, that like the thing that you want to discover most?
Yeah, I think my passion is weight loss or fat loss with resistance training. So there's some people in our field where they really focus on building muscle with resistance training. And I do some of that, but there's other experts that are all about fat loss and weight loss, but they don't really bridge the resistance training. So my passion and where I think that I'm unique is this merging of training with nutrition for people who are already fit. They're fitness enthusiasts. So they're pretty serious and they just want to get better and better. Now, it's not quite competitive bodybuilders. So I study them and I work with them, but I really I think where I can help, where I bring the most value is people who aren't competitive bodybuilders, but who want to look like they are, but they don't want to step on stage.
And that's the biggest number of people that are trying to, like, competitive bodybuilders are a few guys that can make money or make a living around it. But the normal guy that has to go to study or work have a family, and then give himself some space to go train, meal prep, and look amazing without a shirt. So that's where the value, that's where the money really gives a like, we want to spend money on that, so we can give back to our clients that benefit. So having said that, on my practice, I get these three types of people. The one that has never trained before, has never done a special diet, and eats whatever they wish, pizza, or maybe some chicken, rice, potatoes, a soda pop here now and then they want to start to building a great physique and lose the most amount of fat they can. So I have a questionnaire that I send them, and where they choose their objective, so or the main goal. And we know that fat loss is a goal, and we know that build muscle is another goal, and that's related here in Mexico or Latin America. We know that as the leaning phase, or where we get shredded, and the bulk phase. But somewhere around 2 years ago, now the personal trainers or nutritionists are discussing, or we are aware of body recomposition. That means that we can maintain our own weight while losing fat and build a little bit of muscle, and just becoming the same person, the same 200 pounds person that has lost a little bit of fat and put the same amount of weight that they lost on muscle. So that's a new goal that I added to my personal questionnaire when a client wants to reach to me or my services. So with that case, what would you recommend to that guy?
All right, and just to clarify, to summarize, it's somebody who has never trained before. They're not aware of their nutrition yet, but yes, they know that they want to start worrying, or not worrying, they want to start training. They want to start being on top of their nutrition. So if yes, that's the person, I would recommend, so I like to approach this as a scientist. I always think in terms of science. So I'm going to take a slow approach and suggest that, one, they hire you as their coach, and the only thing that they do initially is just start training. Don't make any other changes initially. And I'm gonna give the other extreme. The other extreme is they're gonna train. They're gonna start increasing their protein and their calories. They're gonna start 3 different supplements, and they might try intermittent fasting or something.
Yes.
If they do all of these things, how do they know which one's working and which ones aren't?
Great.
But if they just start with resistance training, again, have you design their program for 2 months? How does their body respond to that? Get a feel for what they like, how they're recovering. And again, you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, hopefully. Don't be in a hurry. Learn your body early. Second thing, now you've been resistance training for 2 months. You know how your body responds. Did you gain some muscle? You're definitely stronger. Now I would start setting a protein goal that's aiming towards 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body mass. Maybe they don't get there initially, but we're going to increase their protein from current levels. I would do that for a few months. Take notes. How's my body responding? Now, after that, now I would say, all right, let's now take a supplement like creatine. Does that increase my muscle mass? So I would take a deliberate and a planned approach that's segmental, where you keep adding things in one at a time.
Okay, perfect. Despite the calories that they probably would eat, because resistance training would increase their hunger, right?
That's tough. In some people, yes. In other people, it blunts their hunger. So like in myself, I am not as hungry when I train. That's me. I will say that does happen to some people, and it does seem like that. I think it happens a little bit more in people who are sedentary and who eat a lot of processed foods that really have no idea about their diet. So it can happen, but I don't think the science, at least the research that I've read, it does not apply to everybody. That there's data on both sides of exercise and what it does to your appetite.
Great, great. So just start getting stronger, start getting to spend some calories in the gym, and we'll build the protein goal after that. And then we'll probably set a calorie goal.
Yep, exactly. How does my body respond to training? And again, they've never trained before, and they've never been educated on their nutrition.
Yes.
So I don't want to overwhelm them with macros and 6-day splits. Like, do something basic. Again, you would be the perfect coach to get somebody started. Just take them so that they can learn about how they respond. And then throughout this entire process, you are also increasing the volume of their training, likely, as they can recover from their workouts.
Awesome, Dr. Bill. So the next case would be this person that has obesity or overweight, and he is in this hurry to get to be a normal person or just start to lose their weight. Probably they have diabetes or some type of lipid marker on their blood tests that needs to be corrected, triglycerides, cholesterol, and their medic told them that they need to go and train or start to do some exercise program. And what would you do on the nutrition aspect? Go for a calorie goal or go for just doing the same advice, just start doing some training, or what would they do?
Yeah, I would do a little bit of a similar philosophy, but a different approach for a currently obese person who's trying to lose weight. So the first thing I would do is say, we're not going to be in a hurry. We are going to change your lifestyle and habits, and that's not going to happen overnight. So I would definitely educate. Time, patience, time. What I would have them do is probably two things. If they're obese, they haven't been exercising. That's the scenario that you said. So I'm going to be cautious about throwing them into a weight room from day one. I would start with the first thing is a food journal. Just write down what you eat. You don't need to change anything. Just get to know what you're eating, the times that you're eating. When are you most hungry? We're just trying to get a baseline value. And then once we have that baseline value, we can start to make changes to that. So again, a slow, gradual approach. And at the same time, or pretty quickly, I would also have them start walking for distance. Can they walk for 5 minutes? Can we change that to 10 minutes? So again, I would not throw them into the weight room initially, because they may even be sore just from walking, depending on their conditioning. And once they've walked, once they have a little bit of a cardiorespiratory endurance build up, maybe after a month, 2 months, 3 months, some very basic resistance training stuff, very basic. So I would definitely get them comfortable with their bodies in an exercise environment of walking first, doing a food journal. So they're learning, these are the types of foods I'm eating. This is how much beverages I'm drinking. And then once we have that, then I might, let's say they're drinking 3 sodas per day. And sodas are fine, but 3 a day is probably too much for that individual. Hey, can we replace one of them with something else? So we're not drastically trying to alter their lifestyle or their decisions. We're gradually adding and making these tiny habits, hopefully a part of their new lifestyle.
Could we add non-caloric beverages?
Yes, definitely do that. That's what I do. I drink a lot of Diet Dr. Pepper.
That's my choice too. Everyone that knows me gives me they get to my nerves about my personal choice, because anytime I get to join with my friends, I have one in my hand, or maybe two. So getting back to this case, here in Mexico, or maybe in Latin America, we have the culture of getting into a fight of the topic that what's the best type of exercise an obese person can do. I'm gonna give you a context. Here, for example, the CrossFit places are sold to people as a place that you can get fit. And then the gym, per se, it's another place that they sell you that that's the only way you can get fit. And then there's these spinning room classes or dancing like Zumba or this stuff. And then there's this fight that cardio versus resistance training for an obese person. Even HIIT classes or high intensity interval training, because they read somewhere on social media that they would spend more calories through the day by doing HIIT than doing low intensity steady state. So just to put the cherry on the cake, what would you say about that?
I would start with saying an obese individual should do whatever they enjoy doing, or whatever they hate the least, initially. Because you cannot hate the exercise. If you hate it, you're not going to do it for long. Now, that's a different answer than somebody who wants to have a ripped physique and have a higher level of muscle mass. You have to resistance train if that's the kind of body you want. There's no other substitute. But an obese individual whose primary goal is fat loss, walking, Zumba class, resistance training, golfing, I forget some CrossFit, whatever they like, they all would be a great benefit if they can keep doing it. But so I would refuse to say they have to do this or one is better than the other. Now, as their goals get more refined, then I would say, well, this one is the best mode for that goal. But starting out, just do what you like. Like I was an example. I've been doing a lot more walking this year than I ever have, because I don't like running. Like every time I would run, I just kept like fighting about doing it in my mind. I don't have that battle in my head with walking. So that's just me, how that's in my own life and in my own outlook on cardio.
All right. I know that you teach the cardiovascular aspects of training, or the physiology of training.
Yes, I have taught that in the past. I don't currently teach that now, but I have.
Okay, I took that information from the South Florida University webpage. So just to giving a look around the cardiovascular functionality of an obese people, what would you say about the resistance? I mean the low intensity steady state activities, or the high intensity interval training activities to a person that is obese?
Yeah, now I don't have a lot of research experience in that realm, but intuitively, I would not start them with high intensity interval training. There's that takes a lot longer to recover from, and I'm assuming an obese individual is likely not as comfortable. Well, they wouldn't be as comfortable with how their body is reacting to the exercise when they first start. So I think starting with, again, walking, low intensity, maybe even non-impact bearing, like elliptical or swimming, something like that initially, and then gravitating towards high intensity interval training if they enjoy that. Now, when I say that, high intensity interval training typically burns more fat than lower intensity, but only if you do it. And the research studies, they always stop at like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And I don't think most people continue high intensity interval training for long periods of time, particularly the non-fitness, the non-serious fitness person.
I read this statement on Lyle McDonald research of doing heat versus low intensity state that it's just going to be redundant if you do already resistance training. If you choose high intensity interval training, that resistance training, it's high intensity interval training by itself.
Yeah, you can make an argument for that. Now, I would say, especially in the obese literature, when you add exercise to resistance training, when you add cardio, you burn more, you lose more fat. So, and that's clear. I mean, there's, nearly every study I've ever read would indicate that, but that makes sense. You're burning more calories when you do more.
Yeah.
But again, I still would start off slow and progress with time.
All right. Thanks. So the third and last one. There's this guy that hates to be named or called skinny, or a girl that whenever they go to hang out with their friends, they receive this tag or name that she's the skinny one. She can eat a whole pizza and not gain weight. So she gets this type of envy around the people that hang out with them, but they really want to get to gain weight or build more muscle so they can stop this. And I just wanna tell you my personal view of them. I think that those type of metabolisms are not efficient through what I read, because they cannot maintain their own weight. So correct me if I'm wrong on that philosophy, because trying to respecting the calorie formulas that we need to calculate their total energy expenditure, so then we can add calories to give the person some weight, and they don't gain weight even by adding 25% more, another 25% more of their calories. So they get frustrated because not even with burgers and fries they can gain weight. So what would you recommend on those cases?
Yeah, the only thing I can recommend, which is exactly what you said, I would start with higher protein and making sure that, and a caloric surplus, which you already mentioned, but I would initially start with more protein. And in addition to that, possibly a higher volume of resistance training. And I understand that some people it's very difficult to gain weight, but I don't know any other approach that would even solve that problem. So it's, again, I don't have that problem. I can gain weight easily, but I do appreciate, I appreciate that some people do. And here's a little trick that I used in the past in terms of helping with a caloric surplus. MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride oil. It's a small amount. Yeah, it's a high calories, and it's clear, doesn't have any taste. So you can put that on all of your food and not even really know it's there. Now you have to be careful. If you take too much initially, it'll give you digestive problems. But if you start small, I'm trying to think, a tablespoon, I don't know what that is in your system.
Yeah, like 15 milliliters.
Yes. So maybe starting with that and then slowly over time. But yeah, to me, it's protein, calories, and a high stimulus, a high volume stimulus of resistance training. Those are the areas that make sense to me to help. And again, some people are just going to be just like other people, even in a caloric deficit, they have a hard time losing weight. Some individuals.
Would you say that they have a problem on their genetics?
Yes, I would. In that case, yes, some people are just more responsive to diets or more responsive to higher calories to gain weight. But I can't tell you the allele or the specific chromosome where that genetic is. But I do think that some people are more genetically predisposed to gaining weight or gaining muscle, and others not as much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bill. So I think we have 5 minutes, and we're gonna finish this. We thank you for your time.
Yes.
So just I know that you recently did a lost weight phase, or you tried a 10-week, I think.
Yes. Yep.
So what would you do? What would you say that was the best aspect for you to? I think you lost 8 pounds.
Yep.
So I know that you recently did an investigation with a flexible diet against a normal diet. So I understand that posterior of or after they finish their diet, they still gain more lean body mass on the flexible diet group. That's what you apply to yourself?
Well, my diet was 10 weeks, and I only monitored myself during the diet phase. Our flexible diet study, we had a 10-week diet, and then we had a 10-week period that was not dieting. I didn't do a post-diet or after diet test. But yeah, during the 10-week diet that I did follow something very similar to our flexible dieting. So I do flexible dieting. I track my macronutrients. I was making sure to get 2.2 grams of protein every day during the week, Monday through Friday. And then I would drop it to 1.6 grams per kg on the weekends, just so I could have some other foods. Because I also did a refeed, so I would increase my calories on the weekend during these 10 weeks.
And to maintenance. Also,
what's that?
To maintenance level.
Yes. And also during my 10-week diet, I actually had about 2 weeks where I didn't diet. I took a diet break because we were on vacation for a week, but I was sure to not go above my maintenance calories, which were my pre-diet levels, about 3,000 calories. So I never overate more than 3,000 calories. When I was dieting during the week, I would always eat no more than 2,200 calories. And 800 of them, about 800 of them was coming from protein. So high protein, moderate caloric deficit, about 25%. And then every weekend back to maintenance. So I could enjoy some foods that I like that weren't as high in protein.
Just to clarify, there's this group that says that flexible diet, they go to fries and pizza or Snicker bars or something. That's what you call flexible diet too also?
Well, I would say that it's not what I think of when I think of flexible dieting, but can somebody follow a flexible dieting plan and eat as much of processed foods, sodas, Snickers bars, milkshakes, donuts? Could they do that? And the answer is yes, they could to some extent. Now, I have kind of, I guess you would call it my system or my philosophy on flexible dieting. The system I say is that it needs to be a protein anchored flexible dieting approach. So that means higher protein. So as soon as you throw that in there, well, that's going to limit some of your food choices. So could you have a Snickers bar and donut and birthday cake? Yes. Could you have all three and hit your protein goals? That would be hard. So that protein anchoring grounds it more in higher protein foods, and it does allow you to have treats, but it really forbids you to have a diet that's just full of the foods that you just described, which I would call highly processed foods.
That's great, because you would be saving some of the calories by getting the thermic effect of protein.
Yes, yep. I believe that to be true.
Great, Dr. Bill. Well, I don't want to interrupt you on the rest of your day. I wish you have a great weekend. I thank you for this time for you to share your experience. Hope we can do it another day sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate the invitation.
Oh, it's really an honor for me. just to get to talk about these topics. I really, I'm obsessed on the topic. That's all I talk about. So thank you again. And I will be reposting this interview just by getting the subtitles on Spanish, and then I will let you know so we can share it on our social media.
That sounds great. All right.
Dr.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
All right.
Have a great weekend.
You too.